श्रीमान साकेत गोखले जी.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairman, sir. Sir, I want to start by presenting a very unique scenario, sir. So imagine you're a person who has worked dedicatedly for an organization for the last sort of 20-25 years of your life. You have given all your life to that organization, you've been dedicated to that organization. And then suddenly, sir, somebody's brought from the outside and made your boss and is sitting over your head. That happens in the Bharatiya Janata Party, sir. But now that is also being done in the Central Armed Police Forces with this bill, sir. Sir, the CAPF, a lot of people in our country do not know this, sir. The CAPF is considered to be the first line of defense in our country, sir. The armed forces form the second line of defense. The CAPF, sir, forms the first line of defense. So they're posted in deserts, in high altitude snow peaks, and in hostile terrain, sir. There is a reason colloquially the CAPF forces, sir, are known as paramilitary forces. The reason for that, sir, is because their job description is much closer to what the armed forces do as opposed to what civilian police does. So therefore, we should take it at face value that civilian policing, sir, is very different from the work that the Central Armed Police Forces do. So when a CAPF officer writes the exam to join as a Group A officer in any of these services, so they do it specifically to work in the paramilitary. Similarly, sir, when a person writes the UPSC exam and becomes an IPS officer, they're doing it because they specifically want to work in civilian policing. These two aspects are very different, sir. Just because they call Central Armed Police Forces doesn't mean they function and do the duties that a regular civilian police force does, sir. So there is a question when we look at this bill and when the top positions are now being allocated to IPS officers in the CAPF, sir, the question we should be asking is, in the history of India, sir, has a CAPF officer of the rank of, say, a deputy commandant, have they ever been appointed as a superintendent of police in a district? No, sir, it has never happened. Sir, are CAPF officers sent on deputation to agencies like the CBI or the others? No, they are not, sir. Sir, then why is this discrimination being done in one direction when now we'll have IPS officers exclusively leading forces, whereas CAPF officers are not going to get access and promotions to get to those level in their own forces, sir? It's the life of a CAPF personnel. We encounter them on a very day-to-day basis, sir. You go to airports, there is the CISF. Sir, at Parliament here, when we come in, our security, this Parliament is protected by CISF, which is also a Central Armed Police Force. So we should sometimes see the conditions that they live in, sir, wherever they're deployed in different places. I remember, sir, when we were children, the 1993 Bombay riots were happening. And where we were living, they had deployed the Rapid Action Force, which is a battalion of the CRPF. So they used to play cricket with us. They had no gifts to give us children because they really had nothing. They were living in these temporary barracks, sir. They used to give us soap cases, sir, because that's the only thing they had. For about 10 to 11 months a year, sir, they serve in the most hostile places. When they serve on the front, it is already difficult. But even in civilian postings, sir, when they're sent for riot control or law and order, sir, they stay in temporary barracks. The condition of the CAPF is the facilities they get are not great, sir. What is ironic, sir, is that the CAPF does pretty much a very similar-ish job to what the armed forces do. But sadly, sir, CAPF have never been given even a fraction of the facilities that are extended to other people, sir. So today the life of an IPS officer is far more comfortable than the life of an equivalent rank officer in the CAPF, sir. Be it a deputy commandant. So the sad part is that to become a commandant in the CAPF, sir, you do about 15 to 18 years of service. Then you get to a rank of a commandant, which is equal to a superintendent of police in the IPS. So in those 15 to 18 years, an IPS officer becomes an IG. So today we are seeing this very unique situation, sir, in the CAPF, where the boss, an officer, CAPF officer joined in 1987. His boss is an officer of the 1997 batch, sir. This is the most humiliating experience for anyone in uniform, where someone 10 years junior to you is coming and becoming your boss, and with this legislation, you're giving the legal right for them to be their boss and saying, no, you're only going to get up to this level. Beyond that, it is only going to be done by an IPS officer. So today, when we look at our security forces, why are we systematically destroying the structure of our forces, sir? With the armed forces, you scrapped in recruitment, you brought in the Agniveer scheme. With CAPF, sir, you're bringing in this bill. Today, for a young person, sir, what is the motivation for them to join the Central Armed Police Forces? I'll give you a simple statistic, sir, which I think should maybe even open the eyes of the government to this draconian legislation they're bringing. So in the last 20 years, 1,100 gazetted officers of the CAPF, so I'm talking assistant commandant, deputy commandant, commandant rank. 1,100, sir, CAPF officers died in the line of duty. In the same 20 years, sir, about 30 to 40 IPS were killed in the line of duty. Sir, with this bill, you're essentially telling young people who want to join the CAPF that you come in as a Group A officer. We want you to go and take the bullets on the border, but when it comes to leading your own force, we don't trust you. We are going to bring an IPS officer from Odisha cadre or somewhere else to sit on your head. How fair is that, sir? You want them to go and take bullets, but you're not going to give them the right to lead their own forces where they've dedicatedly served for 20 plus years, sir. That is extremely unfortunate, sir. So I'll tell you the reason why this is being done. So this is nothing, sir. It's a series that we are seeing of politicization of different institutions, sir. And I'll tell you on ground reality how it happens. So I come from a police family. So these dynamics we pretty much understand. We've seen them work out firsthand. So CAPF Group A officers, be it assistant commandant, deputy commandant, commandant, they're serving on the front. You know, they're doing front posting. Also, there is no concept of a rest posting in CAPF. So CISF officer on a front posting will be guarding a dam on the border. In a rest posting, they'll be guarding an airport in the city. There's nothing called a rest posting. What is happening, sir, is CAPF officers do not ordinarily come into contact with politicians. कोई काम ही नहीं होता है, कोई लेना देना ही नहीं होता है. No one is picking up the phone and asking them to do this or do that. On the other hand, sir, by virtue of their jobs, IPS officers are required to maintain regular contact with the political leadership, sir. So what happens, sir? A CAPF officer will never work in the interest of a certain politician or a political party. A CAPF officer today is posted in Punjab. Tomorrow she might be posted in Jammu Kashmir. Then she might be posted in Assam. There is no concept of a ruling party for them. It changes depending on where they're going. And the areas where they serve, there is no concept of ruling party, opposition party. You want to bring in the IPS to head these forces, sir, because you want political control over these forces. It is a very dangerous trend, sir. There are certain institutions today, we're very proud about the fact that there are certain institutions, despite a lot of disagreements we might have with the treasury benches or with the government, sir, we are proud of the fact that certain institutionally the armed forces are above politics today. And that is the reason our country, despite so many challenges on so many fronts, has managed to not just survive but thrive as a democracy. So the moment you bring politics into matters of national security, sir, it is very dangerous. And today that is exactly what is being done with the CAPF, sir. So which is why the purpose behind, it is incomprehensible what the purpose behind this bill is, sir. I think one that we can prima facie see is that this is turning into a job creation scheme. I'll tell you why, sir. And there are several retired IPS officers here in this house as well who are honorable members. Sir, about 25, 30 years ago, the head of a state police used to be an IGP rank officer. IGP se upar DGP hota hai, IGP rank hota tha, sir. So today, we have at least 6 to 7 officers of DGP rank within a certain state, sir. Then you've created the post of additional DG. Now, there is a Director General of Police in charge of the state police, plus you have postings like DG Housing, DG Home Guards, DG Fire Services. Why is this being done, sir? Because it's a top-heavy structure. There is no... In the army, it's very different, sir. You get up to a colonel and then the pyramid starts. You either retire as a colonel and if you're really meritorious, you'll get up to the rank of a general. That's not the case with the police forces, sir. In the police forces, you want to accommodate as many IPS officers as you can at the top. So now the Central Armed Police Forces have become a place to park IPS officers. Sir, I'll tell you how politicization works, by the way, sir. Sir, I'm seeing this in my state happening right now. Sir, in 2021, elections were held in 8 phases in Bengal. There were 1,071 companies of CAPF that were deployed. 8 phases, 1,071 companies. Fine, long election. So now there is election in 2 phases, and the deployment has been increased from 1,071 to 2,400. Sir, I wish the government would have brought in a bill to care about the welfare of CAPF, sir, because today we can have these 2,400 companies in Bengal. There is an LPG shortage, sir. It is the state government's concern now how we are going to feed all these officers, ensure their welfare when there is a massive shortage of LPG in the market. Union government doesn't care, sir. For them, it's a political agenda. Go, we are going to deploy central forces. Let the West Bengal government handle it. Sir, I only wish instead of bringing bills like these, why doesn't the government bring in a bill to ensure more facilities for CAPF officers, sir. So today, I'll talk about the ground reality, sir. This is not about politics. Today, see where the children of IPS officers go to school, and today, see where the children of CAPF officers go to school, sir. Why have we created this dual system? These are people, these officers who give their lives for the country, sir. Why have we created such a system where they don't get respect outside amongst the public because they never interact with the public? And you're not giving them respect within their own force as well. They work with their men and women for 20 years, but suddenly you're telling them you're not fit to lead this. Only an IPS officer who will come for 5 years. Sir, they're going to spend 3 years learning about the force in the first place. How are they going to lead that armed police force, sir? Therefore, sir, this bill has been brought, I don't know for what malicious reason, but I humbly request, sir, that this bill should be withdrawn and the government should think more about the welfare of the CAPFs rather than trying to see how to use the CAPF as a political militia and the IPS officers, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Saket ji.